North American Hamrammer here, and I just watched the episode 9 trailer, and I also watched a handful of interpretations or reviews. And this trailer sparked something in my head that I've been trying to articulate for a while, and it's funny how this trailer actually did it, not on purpose. And what I'm calling it, it's like the conflict of a hybrid story. And so in this trailer, you see they start off with the nostalgia of the old the prequels and the OT or the original or OS, the original series. And even though they thematically or stylistically kind of clashed, and there's some people who have different feelings about the prequels, but all these years later, what they still do have is a cohesive story of the Skywalker saga, following from Anakin through within Obi-Wan, and then Luke, and on. And so they still thematically fit with the storyline of the characters, the Skywalker saga. Star Wars got started in the Skywalker saga. That's the whole bring. But we know that there's a broad view of the Star Wars universe yet unexplored in the movies. So there's plenty of things going on. We're only paying attention to about 20 people within a universe. So while the Skywalker saga is going on, there's an entire world happening. So you can jump in and out and see all these different things going on. Now, and even though the prequels kind of got a little too tech happy, and it just lost some of the story or some of the feel. But they still had Anakin's story. They still had Palpatine. Palpatine is now bridged across both series, so he's not just one element in the Skywalker saga. He is an integral part of the Skywalker saga. So now he's branched across those two trilogies. But now we've got the new sequel trilogy, and the problem is we were sold and told how this is the last three chapters of the Skywalker saga. So we're all working within still the framework of the Skywalker saga. They didn't start off Star Wars and then this is another story happening within that universe. No, this is supposed to be the last three chapters of the Skywalker saga, and therein lies the problem, is because that's not what we got. What we got is a hybrid. We got the continuation of the Skywalker saga and the corporate desires of creating their own franchise from here on out with new characters and a new storyline. And so now they're jamming the possibility of a great trilogy of new characters and a new situation and a new conflict with the ending of the story of the conflict and storyline we have been given. So now what we have, instead of in these last three episodes or three chapters, instead of having a focused story tying up the last three chapters of a book, what we have are paragraphs, pages, chapters from one story, and then chapters and storylines from a different story, and they're conflicting. So now we're going to get the episode 9, which might pair up with episode 7 very well, but you have the Last Jedi that is going to be just a roadblock in the middle of that, and a complete lack of cohesion between the other 6 chapters, and that is going to be a major problem, because now they're bringing back the Palpatine angle and the Anakin angle, and in that trying to bridge the Skywalker saga together. But the problem is this story, when you go off into Canto Bight with Rose Tico, and when you go off and you knock out Luke Skywalker and Han, and now Carrie Fisher has passed away, and now you're trying to bring the proper ending of the Skywalker saga into the last chapter with these janky 2 ones in before it. It's just not holding. Poe has not been established. He's been deconstructed since The Last Jedi. Then you've got Rose Tico, a distraction. Finn, he's been deconstructed. We really don't know his purpose. Instead of being a competent stormtrooper who had the ins and outs of it and was an infiltrator, he's kind of a janitor goofing through it. You have Rey. Rey has not yet been attached to the Skywalker saga. Rey, as a character in of herself, could have been a great character in a brand new storyline, which is what they were trying to create. But she's not conflicting with the Skywalker saga. So now all of the attachments to the Skywalker saga are dead. I mean, you even have Kylo Ren. In the first movie, you had him harking back to Darth Vader. He had a connection to the past that he was trying to find. But in the Last Jedi, kill the past if you have to. You know, so now he's no longer focused on following the past and the history and the mythos. And part of this problem, I feel, is though that some in Disney, they have that Taika Waititi attitude. I'll destroy your mythos in a minute. And I know that's a separate thing, but it's not. The attitude is there. And so now all of a sudden, oh shit, the mythos matters. We nuked it in The Last Jedi. We hybrided it in the Force Awakens. And now we gotta all of a sudden like grab onto the past. And so it's even if this movie is great, it's still not going to mesh with The Last Jedi. It's not going to mesh with The Force Awakens. With the introduction of Snoke, that was a failure. The problem is that this wasn't planned out. It wasn't a planned out string of events where if they're going to kill off Snoke in the second one, they shouldn't have had him in the first place. They should have had no reference to a particular character. Maybe Hux and Kylo Ren are communicating with a higher power, but you never see him. Maybe you barely even hear him, or if it's a distorted voice, so it's ambiguous. But they put in Snoke. Well, Snoke became a red herring, and so now they eliminated him, and they're going to try to like glue it in with the next movie and try to make Snoke relevant, or maybe they won't. Maybe they'll just ignore it. But it's not going to mesh, even if they try to explain it away. And now all of a sudden you're going to have Kylo Ren going back into that thing of I'm trying to find my past. I'm trying to whatever. So then they're going to bring in the history of Anakin and how he related to Luke and how that all turned out. I mean, at some point you're going to have if you're going to bring Anakin back as a Force ghost, he can't be Darkseid Vader. He's got to be Anakin. So it's almost as though he's gonna have to come back and say, Kylo, you're wrong. You're praising me. That's a past form of me. That's not even in existence anymore. And so that it's just if the last three movies were hardcore into the mythos of the first three, they could have blended together. But this hybrid of some other story of the world trying to be strung together with the Skywalker saga, it's not working. It's just going to clash because you're trying to do two things at the same time. I mean, Starkiller Base should not have been a moving a planet destroyer. It should have been a manufacturing facility, and it shouldn't have even been blown up at the end. It should have been heavily damaged to disrupt their manufacturing. And so you show how the First Order is still on the rise. But they didn't go on the rise. All of a sudden, they had all the stuff. They had it all. And even after destruction, they still were on top. They still didn't get slowed down. And so you never showed. You built up this force as super technologically powerful and influential, where without reason, and then at the same time, even there's no story behind them. So here's this huge menacing force without any reason to feel menacing about it. It's just a baddie, twirler. So it's a shame that this wasn't planned out from the beginning, and it's going to be a struggle to see how it blends together. I mean, that the butterfly lightsaber that Rey has, and her going to the dark side. People are it brings out laughs right away, and the shame of it is it wouldn't have. It wouldn't have with a cohesive story that didn't have all these problems. We'd be like, huh, cool. But now anything that seems like a battle droid C-3PO, probably going to be too much. It's just too much. It's an odd thing. That poster with the bowcaster, it looked like they photoshopped in a bowcaster as a joke. But now it seems as though that's going to be what it is, and it's going to be odd. I mean, it's like, well, we want to bring in these droids, but they're limited in motion, and they're limited in what they can do. No, you could do a protocol droid and use the skills of a linguistic thing, or a translator, or some sort of thing of his power. He could have had a purpose, but now you're going to be like, battle droid. It's just going to be odd. I just find it very it's a shame, and I just don't trust them to be able to pull together the link of Palpatine has been here since the beginning, because they kind of didn't allude to it at all for the last two films. So now they're going to throw him in there. It's like you should have been a part of it from the whole thing, or hints or whatever it is. But Snoke was a distraction, so Snoke really ruined the idea that the Emperor could have been a dark force unknown is still behind this new rise. You have Kylo Ren. What kind of conflicts is he going to have? Rey, I mean, you see her training. That's cool. That's really smart. But the problem is we've already seen her do so much that it's like, well, why are you? I mean, it's going to be painful. But well, hopefully they can pull it together in the future. But it's the hybrid of two stories trying to finish up a established story is not going to work in the end. Hopefully we can see what it'll go on from there. All right, like and subscribe. Have a good day.